As performing singers, there are seasons where we are just not able to book in a lesson or get consistent training because life is just not letting us. That creates all sorts of feelings. Sometimes we feel guilty or like we're not doing enough, but it's because we care that we're feeling this way. I completely understand. Let's grab a cup of cafe and chat more about it. Hola, my friend, and thank you for joining me for another Cafecito with the coach. This is a time for us just to have a little bit of heart-to-heart talk, real talk, singer to singer, because there are things that we often think we're the only ones going through them, but there's a lot of people in this world that are experiencing something very similar. Maybe not the same circumstance, but definitely the same feelings around that circumstance. What we're talking about today is sometimes this self-imposed guilt. Maybe not always self-imposed, let me reframe that. Sometimes people just make us feel a certain kind of way. If we haven't been training consistently, we might look at other singers or performing artists that, I'm gonna go see my voice coach, I'm gonna go do my program, and you're thinking, I really wanna do that too. I'm just looking up YouTube videos, which, hey, there's tons of wonderful YouTube videos out there. But I understand that feeling of, am I doing enough for my singing, for my voice, for myself as a performing artist? I might get a little vulnerable today just because this is happening in the lives of so many singers that I care about, and this is why I wanted to have this conversation with you. I want to share my story of a season where it felt pretty dry. It felt like a desert, if we're going to use metaphors, where it felt like I just wasn't doing enough for myself as a singer. We've lived where we live now for almost 12 years. And during that transition time of moving from one city to another, my husband had a new job. So we thought, this is a good opportunity for him. We need to do this. I was actively performing in professional theaters in the previous city that I lived in. I was starting my own voice studio at the time, and there was a lot of buzz, a lot of momentum. And so I thought, okay, what is this gonna look like in the new city? And I even remember my husband saying, Mel, we're not going to do anything if you don't feel comfortable doing this. Like, I don't want you to feel like you're having to sacrifice anything. And at the time, it didn't really feel like a sacrifice. I just knew that it was going to be different. I knew that it was going to be good for our family. So let's do it. Let's do it. So relocated with a young toddler at the time. So I did what I could to find local audition opportunities in the area. There was two professional theater houses actually in a reasonable driving distance from where I live. And there was a big professional theme park close by where I thought, okay, I can go ahead and start auditioning for those places. Well, I felt a little insecure getting ready for those auditions because I also didn't know any voice teachers in the area. At the time, I wasn't necessarily connected with anyone in my previous city, or, if I was, I didn't know if they did online lessons. So I did rely on YouTube searches. And thankfully, I came across some wonderful resources that did help me in the meantime, but I still remember that the act of constantly having to search while being a young mom, while trying to get to know people in a city I didn't know anybody in, it felt very lonely. And at the heart of maybe what you're feeling right now is a little bit of loneliness. None of the friends that I had at the time necessarily were doing the same things that I was doing. So I did my best to try to ask around, for people who had lived in the area for a long time. So I auditioned, and thankfully I did have great audition experiences. I was offered a couple of contracts. The irony is that as soon as I was offered those contracts, I found out I was pregnant with my second kid. The timing of that just wasn't gonna work out because right when the shows were going to start, I would have been giving birth. So, I had done a lot of work to get ready for those auditions and done my due diligence to work on my voice, and then I had to decline the offers. At the time, I was really upset about that in terms of not being able to do it. But then the other side of that is that it gave me a confidence boost that I was offered something, So obviously now's not the time to pick up a contract, but I do know that there are opportunities that I can seek when I'm ready. During that that time of YouTube searches, of doing some digging and asking and almost like gathering up whatever information I could at the time, I wish that I had a resource that I could always fall back on. I wasn't teaching voice at the time. It wasn't until like 5 years later, after we relocated here, that I began teaching again. I was thinking, you know, I'm having this conversation with singers who, for whatever reason, financially or logistically, they're not able to take a voice lesson and they're feeling guilty about it. And if this is you, I don't want you to feel that way. I want you to have something that you can always fall back on, and it doesn't necessarily replace a voice lesson, because the beauty of a customized voice lesson is that word, customizable. Your teacher can create customized exercises for your voice, for your needs. It's so individualized. And so that is the beauty of being able to book in a lesson. And when you are able to do that, do it. It's so beneficial. So if you're in this season of in-between lessons or wanting to start lessons but not sure if you should, let me introduce you to Start Singing, with 9 short video tutorials that takes you on a roadmap and starts you at why are you doing this in the first place to the beginnings of becoming a riffing queen. You'll have over 20 exercises to help support and exercise your voice, and a PDF journal that you can always refer back to. Do it in one day or take your sweet time. Start Singing is designed to meet your lifestyle and your budget. So if you are ready to get rid of the guilt and the shame of not doing anything for your voice, my friend, Start Singing is here for you. My email subscribers will be the first to know when it's available, so be sure that you're subscribed to my Notes of Encouragement newsletter. Y vamos a cantar con amor. Hasta la próxima.